Right, so we're looking at this little piece of code here, and this is a Stack Overflow question, and I'm just going to basically look at the Stack Overflow question and pretty much attempt to do an analyze of the question itself. So what I'm going to do is actually I might do a share, I might do a live share of this as well. So I'm going to share it on, basically you've got the stream running here, so I'm just going to share that. Let's see how we do a share. There we go. And yeah, I might do a live share of this as well. So I'm going to share it on, very loud, basically you've got the stream running here, so I'm just going to share that. Let's see how we do a share. There we go. And right, post. So what we're doing is looking at this question basically. And there's a few bits and bobs that are kind of like, we'll see what's right and wrong with this question, but I mean, attempting to like text underscore frame dot place not displaying a text box, that's the actual question. And this person's asked, this is his first ever question, so this person, the user's called yes no, and it's their first ever question. Attempting to display a text box was displaying with .pack, and that's kind of like a standard thing in Tkinter, but was displaying with .pack, but .place isn't making. So it's not quite clear what the question is exactly. Is it making what? I'm not sure. I don't want to use .pack because of padding. Okay, I'd rather .place because of rel x and rel y. That's what relative. That's probably where x and y goes. So something like that. You get to place your objects on the screen in Tkinter. So I think it's something like, if I do it, you've kind of got these objects and you can sort of like specify your x and y coordinates, so x, y, so like your objects over there on your screen. So I imagine it's something like that. But what we're actually doing here is we're going to look at the code. So we take this code down here, I'm just going to copy the whole damn lot and paste it into my code editor. And actually did a little bit of this before, and then I sort of like removed it all because I think it's worth having a look at this. One of the things is, well, okay, straight away off the bat, just make sure that that's correct. Is, yeah, I have taken all of the code. No, I haven't, because I've forgotten this little pattern at the bottom, the if double underscore name double underscore equals double underscore name double underscore, this pattern here, the main guard idiom is what I call it. I've forgotten that, and that is your code. If you do forget it, let's just make sure you've got the right level of indentation. So let's get that little pattern in, and everything works perfectly fine now in the sense that this piece, this pattern here, hoists a code. That's what it does. It means that every function gets read before. And actually, this is nearly, I was going to say, this is nearly a well-written piece of code, in the sense that everything is functional. So the imports are at the top, and there's a whole bunch of functions, so everything's done at the function level, and then we call a main function, so it's absolutely kind of like perfect in that way. Although I'd say that maybe you should stick your main function at the top when you're doing that. It's kind of like, you know, maybe a small gripe there, but that's perfectly fine. In fact, maybe I will move it up there. So X of that, and we'll stick our main function up here because we want it to be the first piece of the code, basically. Again, Control Z and Control Z, and then Control Z one more time, and Control Z one more time. Right, did I not copy all of it? Yeah, I didn't copy all of it. Python indentation, be really careful. You know what I could actually do is shrink it like that, and then I wonder if I can do that. I don't know if I can. I wonder if I can actually just move the entire block of code up. So let's just try and do that. Yeah, I can do. There we go. We'll ram the main function up to the top. I've never done it this way before, but there we go. No, that didn't work. Control Z, 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 Z. Let's move it all the way back if we can. Right, and we'll try that one more time. I've done the opposite of Control Shift Z, maybe redo. I need to do some redos now. There we go. Okay, so let's just take this whole block of code, cut it, and we'll stick it up the top here. There we go. So that's our first tiny little change, should we say. That's the first piece. But secondly, and this is actually quite useful, is if I do the zooming in piece, because we want to, let's get rid of this little red line here, mention it quite often. So I want to just make sure that we are respecting the 80 character width. We don't have to, but it's quite nice for videos for a start, because you can then see the writing. It's quite nice for if you're putting into a book and other things, but also just in general, like your lines just start to become too long at a certain point in time. Now, with the modern browsers and all the rest of it, the modern editors and so forth, the extra wide screens that we got, and this screen is like about 2 feet wide, so I should be perfectly fine with long strings. We like to keep everything relatively concise. So just things like this here, it's already going over the edge. So what we'll do is something like this, right? Right, we let the indentation take it, and that's assuming that we even needed this comment. So don't know if we need this comment or not, but we'll put that there now, because it should be self-explanatory to a reasonable degree. So, I mean, the next piece one here is, I mean, this is, really far off. So, but really, this isn't the gripe with actually, this is some of the editing of the actual code. So, just tidying it up a bit. But I'm not sure if people will agree or not that this is a cleaner way to, so your text drawing here is a tk.text, and then all of the little components of it on single lines. So that's quite nice, and that's fine. And we could keep continuing doing it, certainly for things again where, like these buttons, they go over the edge. Now you could say it's fine to go over the edge a little bit, so it's neither here nor there, but we'll clean it up. We've got our three buttons. This dude's got 3 buttons, so they sort of belong there. And we can see that the editor does the indentation and all of that quite neatly, so that's also quite nice. Maybe we can even end our buttons as we can see where they end. But we're still not onto the what I might call the offensive part of the code. Here, a lot of people tend to do this sort of indentation. I don't like it. It's better if you go to the next line, because you get the depth of the nesting, and that works in your favour. So delete that and then put return those. There we go, and finally here we could nest this as we could put these all on different lines, so we could do something like this if we wanted to. We won't do that for now, just because this is a small enough list over here. So we're getting into it now. This is a piece that kind of gets a tiny bit frustrating, where when you don't type hint in Python, you don't get the advantage of this dot. And I can tell that because on my editor it comes in white. So what I mean by type hinting is button is actually of type tk.button. Right, I think that's what it should be. And we just saw that turn to yellow here. As in, if I now do button and then do dot, I get all the methods and attributes that way, because this piece here, this line here on line number 72, it's telling the IDE, the integrated development environment, is telling it what type it is and where to look and so forth. So I wonder even if I could now go to definition I know that's just definition of that there, so fine. I can't do that, but it's telling you it's a type TK button, and it can sort of like look it up in its referencing, which is the right way to do it. Now, if I comment this piece out and then do a button, right, it doesn't know what it is. So I do dot, and it doesn't know what it is. And the reason why it doesn't know what it is because it hasn't got this, like effectively like what we could call a lookup. It doesn't know it, so it can't find its methods and attributes. But more to the point, if I hover over it, we can see that button is of type any, and it shouldn't be of type any if we want it to be of type TK button. So I find this useful. If there's a better pattern or a better way of doing it, you know, by all means let know. There is like the typing module and stuff as well. So that's a way to expose, at least that's one way to expose the methods and attributes of a function, basically, or of a variable. So there's that in there, and that addressed this buttons here. Now I think even then I couldn't have done a tk dot because that was a list actually. So this buttons here is actually of type list, right? It's this type here. So for button in buttons, it's telling the user its list. Now this one here is the next piece. Text, I'm presuming it is actually just text, and text widget. This is the issue because I don't even know what text widget is. I know it's got a method called insert, but I can't see where the insert is, and I can't sort of like go to its definition. But you know, it should be text. I don't even know what it is, underscore actually widgets, but again it's of type, and I'm presuming that it's some sort of TK dot. But I did try this before, like widgets, but it didn't sort of like work because these would have all turned to yellow. So it's not a TK dot widget, but so I don't know what it is. TK dot. Is it of type button as well? No. So maybe I could do a which Tkinter. Maybe I'll ask it actually. So let's go here and do create a new chat and maximize the screen here. So shift and maximize the screen and say something like which Tkinter variable has the right, and then back here I guess the dot insert method has the quotation there, and then maybe I can find out what it is, question mark. Oh, no, don't get that. Ah, it's an entry box or a text. So there we go, entry, tk.entry. So it's of type, this is of tk. It looks like it's something like this. No. Is it that? No. So it's going to be one of those, but I don't know what it is actually, quite frankly. And I think that's the point with this, because whoever wrote this code could have either commented it. That's one way of doing it. So then, you know, we should put our doc string over here so that it's clear, and in the doc string, so sort of like standard Python doc string, do something. But then over here we want the that bit over there, something like the args, which is, you know, these three things here, and some sort of description of what they are, and right, don't know why I've got one extra space in there. So that's my args, then maybe we could even say what it returns and so forth. But you know, buttons is, for example, a list of buttons. Now again, that's all like, it's helpful because then at least we'd know what this is. So if I was to hover over it, it would say args and then text widget. So some kind of widget, right, and then some text, maybe a string, question mark. So we don't like, I don't know what these are necessarily. I can sort of like maybe infer it at some point. So that, and here we see that like in the function signature it's of type any, and this one's of type list because I've type hinted it to a list. But you know, here maybe we could have something like that, so some kind of description. So this is the piece where I get stuck because I'm effectively just randomly looking up what this might be as to where this insert function is for the purpose of understanding how to debug it. And Python is a dynamic language, not typed. It's not strongly typed, so we need to. We're not forced to declare all of the types. So all we have is a type hinting, and if you don't hint well or you haven't got a function signature, if this block of code did become larger, it's only 100 lines long, so you could say you get away with it. But if the code did become larger, you would sort of like start getting lost. So it becomes quite important to, or very helpful to have either a docstring, function signature, or use the type hinting properly. So I still don't know what this is. I could sort of like have an attempt in one of the GPTs to say something like, where is it, over there? How can I type hint this, question mark, and then in Python. There we go. Let's see what comes back. It doesn't say what it is. In this example, the insert character takes a function text visual parameter that is hinted as tk.text. If I can actually click on that, let's make that tiny bit smaller. And a char parameter which is type hinted as string. I'm still not sure. I don't know. It's text. It wasn't tk.text. It didn't seem to work because that one was tried, for example. So, well, we've got the tk.text there. So text widget is not that because it would have looked it up. So, and in fact, if I did text underscore widget and then did dot, it's still not putting that up. So that's an interesting one. Because if it was of type button, maybe text doesn't have any things in there. But if it was of type button, then no, it's almost like the text widget. It's almost like the hinting doesn't work because over here you get the TK for button and buttons. I don't know why it wouldn't work. It's still a type any actually. Is that because I just make sure? Well, I haven't got a spelling mistake because that's definitely. Let's make sure of that. I just think it text widget is of type any. Now it's of type button. Text. Oh, no, that won't work. I wonder if I just do a, which is of type button, tk dot button, just like that, and then I do the a dot. Still not coming up. So for some reason, it's almost like the intellisense is not working. But it does over here, so it's like something's actually got broken in here. Is that, and why? If I was to move this out of there, that won't make a text widget dot. No, because then we still don't know the text widget is of type any, and still of type any. So I actually wonder if it can go here. Now it's of type button, so okay, that works. Okay, fine. I think that was because it's declared here, and then I've kind of like, possibly because it was overwritten there, so I shouldn't have been declared a second time. That's actually why, because it was in the function signature. So that's probably why. So that's cool. That means that now I do have the methods, and that's assuming that it's a button, but we know that it wasn't a button. We know that it might have been of type text, or was it of type entry? So this would be entry. So let's just say that was an entry. Now, when we go over here, we probably get all the entry methods, and the one that we were looking for is this dot insert, but we can see that it's turned yellow already, so this does work. So insert, there we go. So we get that, and when we do that, we also get the function signature, because now it's able to do its lookup. So we know that there's an index which is either a string or an integer. So I don't know what, whatever it could be, like 10 for example, and then the next argument here. So the first argument is a string or an integer, and the next argument here is a string. So like hello, right? And that's acceptable. So this kind of like works, and we can see here now, like again when we hover over the function, what it actually is. So this text underscore widget variable is a it is of type entry. It's of type tk.entry, in fact. So, and finally text, which I'm just going to assume that it's of type tk.text, which means that over here now in the actual args, we just have to describe what they are. So some text, right? We don't even have to say it's type, because we got the type in the signature. So it's of type it's actually of type tk.text, and this is of type tk.entry. So some text for the Tkinter app, and here this is some entry for the Tkinter app. I don't even know what there is, but like that's probably a better way. That's what this guy could have done in terms of defining or writing his functions in a neat way. And again here, just kind of like show buttons after typing. Okay, I'm just going to move that sort of like over there, for example, just so that we don't go over the lines. And This is kind of like now better code. Again, this is pedantic, but you know, one can argue because you've got your message box. But if we are to do that, then these longer lines, we've our 80 characters, we've got plenty of white space going on for here. We've got all of this additional white space now, which is quite nice. And we don't have to go over the line and sort of like start scrolling across and all the rest of it. So we've just got that neatly, and we gain that again just going here. And the thing about this switch info is, let's have a look. The title is the first thing, and then the message is the second thing. So it's kind of like neat in a way. Let's just put it there. If these titles and messages were shorter, we'd keep them on like one line, but they're not shorter, so you know they belong on multiple lines. So that's exactly what we do. And yeah, that's kind of like it really. Let's just see what else we can do. That's it. Now again, well, over here, same type of issue, button for widget in button. So let's just get this one right. Here widget is the button is the iterable, which is actually a list of buttons. I am imagining that it's a list of buttons. Well, it must be some sort of iterable, so I'm just going to say it's a list. I'm not sure if this is of type iterable, so like for example I could have from typing import, oh there is iterable there, so something like that. I can't remember exactly how it works, but let's just say it's of type list there. And then what is widget? Well, widget is a tk.widget. It's like that, and you know that's not bad in the sense that we can see now that we've got this .update method, and you know it tells us what it is, enter the event loop and so forth. So that's kind of like the right way to have written the code so that another person that's coming to try to read your code to sort of like find it, debug it and help you with the errors can actually help you, and that's how it should be. I'm not going to amend this code, but some people have put comments, and I've actually written a comment here which is annoying following Tkinter code that does not have type hints. For example, what is text widget? I had to muck around and sort of like look over, where was it, in you know my Corsair AI. I had to go and look around and sort of like discover what it is. I could have gone to I would have had to go to the docs or somewhere else, but one way or another I had to discover what that was, and that wasted a lot of time doing it. So kind of like a nice piece of code, so like wrote it relatively nicely, and that's kind of like it really. So just a small test or a little lesson in writing code, and that's it. Oh, my favourite Cuz is here. Hello, Cuz. Go to bed, because it's late-ish at night here, London time. Well, it's not that late. And I think that's the end of this little session. I'm not going to go through other ones, although I could do, and we'll just see how they go. So Zio, you should like, subscribe, follow, you already do, forward it on to other people, and everyone else should like, subscribe, follow and all the rest of it too. And that's the end of the stream.